Hey guys, it's Carol. This is the first video in a new series, The Writer's Toolkit. This first episode is going to be all about your basic tools. These are just what I think the basic tools should be, and I hope you enjoy it. The first thing you're going to want is a computer. Obviously there is one behind me. I don't write on that one. That's more the entertainment computer. This is the one that I get my writing done on. This is where I do all my editing. This is where all of my information trackers are. More on that in another episode of this. But this is the easiest way to get all of your editing done. It's also the easiest way to sort of send out sections for notes. I do a note exchange with one of the girls who's going to be on the podcast with me when we eventually actually get that part going. And we basically just send each other chapters or sections or whatever and use the comment function in Microsoft Word. I don't know what other sorts of writing programs there are out there along this same sort of vein, but I don't use them, so I don't care. Yeah, so you're going to want your laptop or your desktop or whatever sort of word processing unit you have that you can sort of access the internet and get help on things with. So the other great option, especially for like if you have a brilliant idea while you're doing something completely different and you're not within reach of your computer, is a notebook. Now, I tend to rip the pages out once I've transcribed them for my notebooks. As you can see, this one is, the spine is a lot bigger than it needs to be for what's actually here. That's because it's starting out about this thick. So I've put this one to a lot of good use, and hopefully I'll actually finish using all the pages in it for the first time ever. But this sort of thing can help when you are at school, and this is a lot lighter than a laptop, even in its full, not completely destroyed form. Plus there are a lot of neat little tricks that you can do with a notebook that you can't really do with a computer, because sometimes if I'm at a block, then even just switching which pen I'm using in my notebook can make a huge difference. It seems weird, I know, but whatever gets you through the block, right? Another sort of trick that you can do with a notebook that you can't do nearly as well on a computer is use sticky notes. On this side are all the scenes that I still have to write for book 2 before I can even start to edit. The other side has the big blue one, which is maybe this is how this event should happen instead of what I had originally written, which I think makes more sense now. And then a couple of story idea, character idea type things. But yes, so you'll need a notebook that you can carry around with you at all times. I make sure that any purse that I buy, because I am female and therefore I have to have a purse because we don't get functional pockets, any purse that I buy has to be big enough to hold a notebook along with everything else that I actually have to bring, like wallet and keys and phone. So there's that. So along with your notebooks, you're going to want pens or some form of writing implement. This is the one that I carry around in my work bag. This is the just group of pens that I have with me, especially during the weekdays. I advise having at least 2 at all times, just in case the one that you're using runs out, so you don't have to like buy a whole pack of pens just so that you can keep writing. There's nothing wrong with that, especially if you're low on pens. I currently am not. I have crap tons of pens all over the place. Like, I have them in my nightstand. I have this huge thing here that is full of pens. And like I mentioned with the notebooks, is another thing that you might want are Post-its. So I've got this little cube thing here. I have a couple of larger, like normal sized Post-its, and I have little bookmark type Post-its that just live on my desk. This will make a lot of things easier, particularly if you're working on another draft and or version. Like, I refer to my drafts as versions because so much changes between them that they're not really the same book anymore. But having the post-its really helps, at least for me. Like, I don't necessarily remember 100% of the time, like, all of the scenes that I still have to write. So having little notes of, like, a scene needs to happen where this happens. And then it's followed by this scene and this scene and this scene. So you have sort of an outline that you're working with, but not necessarily, like, a rigid thing that's very obviously an outline. I don't like writing with outlines. I feel like I've already told the story with an outline. It's my personal issue, not yours. If you really like working with outlines, you do you. And then there's one more thing that I consider a basic tool for writing that you absolutely should have every time you sit down to write, and that is your writer's brain. The creative part of your mind that you go to every time you have to delve into the world of your writing. Those are your basic tools. I will see you next time for the next segment that I'm not remembering, which is resources. That's the one I'm doing next. Okay, so I will see you then. Bye!